Welcome, Tammie.
Yeah.
It's time
Hello.
for some profiling. So, welcome everyone who may be watching this, whether it's through the live stream into my Facebook group or in some other platform. I'm delighted to be back with another Thrive Factor Live and to have the fabulous Tammie Sharpe with me today, who has volunteered herself to go live with me to do a profiling session. So, Tammie has been working with me in my Magnetism program, and while I think you knew a little bit about some of the archetypes, you didn't actually know your own archetypes until you joined that program. So it's been an absolute joy over the last few weeks watching you get to know yourself. But I know that you have a lot more questions that you want to ask about your archetypes as a part of the profiling debrief. So before we dive in, and I have a feeling that I'm got a good sense of what you want to talk about today, but I'm happy to be surprised. But before we dive in and to talk about your archetypes, I would love you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about you and your business, and then tell us what archetypes you've got.
Okay, so I'm Tammie, and my business is Tammie Maree, Sacred Visionary, and I create sacred art for women. I get really excited when I can weave creative symbolism with ritual that is sustainable for the woman that I work with. So that's sort of where my passion lies at the moment.
Yes.
My archetypes are inspired believer, which I believed was there, mentor teacher, which wasn't a surprise, and then I had the liberator engineer and the shapeshifter alchemist. And the liberator engineer was like yeah, you sure about that?
I know.
And then the shapeshifter alchemist, Shannon had seen her prior to saying that she was there. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, let's dig deeper.
I know you weren't sure about that, which I found really fascinating. And this is not an uncommon thing for someone when they receive the confirmation that these are your archetypes in your Thrive Factor profile, that they then go, oh, that one, no, that's definitely not me. And exactly what Tammie did with the Liberator Engineer. And I have since seen an enormous amount of evidence to show, to be able to guide Tammie to go, look, there she is. That's how she's showing up, and that's what you're doing. And it's been quite fun being able to reconnect those parts of yourself that you just do, and the things that you're saying and you're sharing, to say to you, Tammie, here's this is where she is, this is where she's sitting. And the shapeshifter. So those of you that you may be watching this and this is brand new to you and you don't know much about the archetypes, you may know a lot about the archetypes, but if you know anything about the shapeshifter or alchemist, you can possibly guess one of the key things that was a big giveaway for me, that Tammie possibly had that archetype. Your hair, darling. So that the fact that you color your hair, and it's like the whole chameleon of, the shapeshifters, they're colorful, they're creative, they bring magic to the world. They often are very comfortable blending in and being that chameleon, but they often do things like have really brightly colored hair that makes them stand out. So that was, yes. Yeah, yes, wear bright clothes, do bright things, be bold in the way that they are, and wonder why they don't really achieve that, wanting to blend into the background so much. Okay, so where do you want to go in terms of we've probably got time to talk in depth about definitely two of your archetypes, and more than likely we'll end up talking about all of them just by being able to talk about some of the interactions between them as well. But where do you want to start? What do you want to know more about in terms of one or more of your archetypes?
I think what I am feeling at the moment is that I'd like to know a little bit more about my shapeshifter alchemist and how she can be supportive to my mentor teacher.
Okay, that's a really great question. So here's our shapeshifter, just as a reminder for anyone who hasn't seen the images. There is big clues in the imagery for each of the archetypes about what they're about. So when we look at the shapeshifter, because we can see a masked woman with a cape, she's the, we could call her the superhero, a superheroine of the archetypes, but the mask is about her elusiveness and her mystery, and she quite likes being able to have alter egos, if you like. So before I go into any more in depth around the shapeshifter alchemist, you know a little bit about her now. So I'd love you to start by sharing with me what you do know about her, and then I can sort of fill in any gaps, and then we can talk about her link to your mentor teacher. What do you know about her?
What do I know about her? I know that she has great potential for holding space for transformation. which I resonate with deeply. I know that she's magical and mystical and spiritual, which kind of sits well for me, but like I believe in magic and I'm spiritual, but I'm just sort of like, yeah, okay, it's one of those roll eye sort of moments. And one thing that I've noticed is that I have different levels of visibility. So I'm comfortable being visible in certain levels, and then other levels I have really low upper limits.
Yeah. So can you give me an example of something where it feels, you know, comfortable and effortless to be more visible, and maybe something that doesn't feel as much, but maybe something that you...
To be visible, sharing the sacred symbols.
Okay.
That feels comfortable. It's inspiring to me. It's I can see the magic in that, but I can also see the freedom in sharing those. Uncomfortable or contracting is the teaching aspect, like to teach a bit more about it, or to move into the ritual celebration side for women to reclaim that. That's part of where I think the clarity that's come forward for the teaching. And so it's that space for transformation, but yeah, I feel very contracted around that at the moment.
Okay, so we definitely need to be talking about your mental teacher, as you asked to do, right alongside as we talk about your shapeshifter. Both of these archetypes have a gift for transformation. So this is where they have this beautiful synergy of being able to come together and work harmoniously in support of what you're creating, and the way that you work with your amazing clients and provide the sacred artworks, the ritual experiences, all of the things that you do now, and that I can only imagine that you could bring it into the future. Yeah. So the really connecting that transformation and the gift that the two of them have, and how to do that, is what I think feels like that's a helpful place for us to go to talk about this, yeah, to support you. So the shapeshifter's gift for transformation is in her ability to be that chameleon, to be very, she's adaptable, she's versatile, she can step into someone else's shoes almost as clearly as though she is that person. So you can really, like, the empathy is off the scale. You can really truly get where someone's at as close as you possibly can without being them. Yeah. So other people can have great empathy and can feel what someone might be feeling, can imagine what it's like, but a shapeshifter can almost walk in someone else's shoes. Like, it's such an incredible gift. Others will find that both intriguing and magnetizing, and they also could find it a little bit overwhelming that you can be so much like them. The thing for you as a shapeshifter is to be really clear about your boundaries, or you're keeping yourself grounded so that you don't get lost in other people and who they are and what they're doing and their challenges, the things that they are trying to change, shift, evolve. You want to guide them through transformation, but not get lost in their transformation, so that there's you're almost like you're running on two planes. Are you them? Are you, who are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, where the mentor teacher can help with that is that as being a guide for transformation from the perspective of the mentor teacher, that's an incredibly grounded archetype. Yeah, she is grounded in knowledge and wisdom. So being in that place and showing up as the teacher and or the mentor, which you have the gift to do both of those, is going to help you to keep yourself in that space rather than morphing into someone else. You are their guide for transformation. Yeah. That's where those two can work together, and where your mentor teacher can really ground your shapeshifter alchemist. Now, the bringing in teaching around the sacred rituals and all the different things that I'm only just feel like I'm just getting to know the depth of some of your knowledge and your wisdom and your learning over your lifetime, Tammie. And I imagine for you, it's actually past lifetimes as well, the things that you're bringing forward. But there is great depth there, and a great sense of tangible, grounded, credible knowledge and experience. So using that part of your mentor teacher is also going to help your shapeshifter to be grounded in being the magical woman, in being the elusive, mystical, magical, ethereal type creative individual that you are. Yeah. So coming from that place of that credibility, because you've walked the path more than once that you're guiding your clients on, right? Yeah, multiple times over. So it's about working from a mindset perspective and embodying the fact that you don't have to be the expert. You have expertise through lived experience and through learned experience. And that's going to give credibility to who you are and help you to be more confident and clear and able to show up and be visible as you're marketing, as you're putting yourself out there as a businesswoman, as you're building a brand, as you're magnetizing in the ideal clients that are out there looking for someone like you. Yeah, the shapeshifter has the potential to be the best kept secret in town by her own doing, because she sort of puts herself out there a little bit. As you said, you've got things now that you are feeling more comfortable to share, and then it's like you contract back again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just talked earlier today on our fabulous group call for Magnetism about consistency. And one of the things that I shared, and this would go for any combination of archetypes, but definitely for shapeshifter alchemists, because they can have such a huge challenge with being visible, is get clear on what your definition of consistency is so that you can deliver on that. That's also going to help you to build credibility and reliability with your clients who are like, this is cool because I know Tammie's going to post 3 times a week. Yeah. Rather than 5 times a day because someone told you that that's what you should do, or some, you know, some free thing you downloaded somewhere gave you the secret to how to, to overcome their Facebook algorithm. We don't know how to do that. So I'm much more get to know who you are and work in your effortless success zone, which is using your strengths and working out how you can show up as your best version of yourself. Then others will get to rely on that. That's what's the reliability. It's not about that you show up, at the same time every day and do whatever it is. Yeah.
The consistent thing's really good because it's something that I spoke with my accountability partner this week. I said, I want to be more consistent, but in my way, which means maybe I have a day off, maybe I post 5 times a day, maybe I post just 1, and I want that to be okay. I don't want to have that voice in my head saying, no, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. And it has flowed a lot easier for me this week by just saying my version of consistent is what it needs to be on that day. I want to be spontaneous, but I also want to have a little bit of a plan in the background. And if we don't follow it completely well, I'm not going to beat myself up about it either.
No, that's okay. So this is where your mentor teacher and your liberator engineer can work very well for you. And in fact, with the combination of your inspire believer too. So we've got our mentor teacher, our liberator engineer here, and our inspire believer as your other 3 archetypes. So the inspire believer is, showing up, taking action, being consistent when and as you feel inspired. Yeah. The thing to remember for all of us as shapeshifter alchemists, because it's an archetype that you and I share, is in fact these last 3 you and I share, that they're the same. We've only got my visionary creator and your shapeshifter are what's different. But the inspire believers is that our greatest gift for ourselves and therefore the world is learning to be and allowing ourselves to be inspired by who we are, what we're creating, what we're putting out into the world. If we're not allowing and being in that space of self-inspiration, we're going to find it really hard to have consistent and regular and inspired energy to do things. So again, time for that self, which is also where your shapeshifter can support you because she's bringing in that magic. So for you, with the combination of those 2 archetypes, it's going to feel like a magical experience, and inspiration are one and the same many times over. Yeah. So being in that magical inspiration is going to give you the energy to be able to sustain, to show up and to do whatever it is in terms of your definition of consistency. Your liberator engineer, our liberator engineer, she likes some structure. She likes to have a plan. So she likes to have supports, and she's very good at building things, solutions and freedom for ourselves and for others. Freedom, liberation is space, whatever words resonate, but that's all, it's all one and the same. We may have different words for it, but there's similar sorts of feelings to it. So using the engineer part of that to create that structure to support you, so often very creative, very mystical shapeshifter women will say, oh, but I feel trapped and I feel like I've lost my muse if I'm so structured and rigid about how I do things. And yet there is freedom, there is space, there is expression, there is more creativity open to us, more liberation open to us when we have some boundaries in place as a guide to hold the space for us to do what we do and to be who we are. Yeah. So using that and remembering as liberator engineers that we have, while we can create freedom and other things associated with that for others, we are the ones that can and do it for ourselves also. We've got to remember that we don't forget that when we built ourselves into a trapped, contorted, like, I can't do this like this way anymore, that we can also have the gift to get ourselves out of that. So working with that one. And then you're the mentor teacher again. Mentor teachers like to do things well. We like to achieve things at a certain level in terms of our our expertise, our learning, our experience, and sharing those types of things. So she's also going to do well with having a bit of a plan about what she wants to accomplish and what she wants to have shared during the week. So having those experiences where you have also experiences, having a plan in place and something in the background to give you a guide for what you might share during the week is going to be important. But the flexibility and the magic and the inspiration of your Shapeshifter, Alchemist, Inspirer, Believer to be able to respond based on where you're at the time. Not because today is Tuesday and I said that I was going to share this post because this is the content that my launch plan says I need to share. You need to be able to have that more freedom and flexibility in your diary and your schedule, in the way that you work, to go, you know what, that was a great idea and that might be good for tomorrow, but right now in this moment, this feels the best thing to share. What you want to be careful of and how you want to leverage that is get clear on the core messages that you have in your business, so that you're not going from today I feel inspired to share this and tomorrow I feel inspired to share this, and they're so far apart that no one can see the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, I can see how that was a problem in the past. I don't think it's that much resistance now because of the way that it's weaved together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other thing that I had about the Shapeshifter Alchemist is she often, because she was so flexible, she could become overwhelmed and ungrounded. But I can now see how pulling on the teacher's strength, she can be my grounding aspect. So that's pretty cool, because I hadn't worked that nugget out prior to.
So the remedy for grounding for any Shapeshifter Alchemist, for want of a better word, is magic. Now, magic. I say that to non-Shapeshifter Alchemists, they look at me a bit strangely, usually with a, how can magic be grounding? Because they don't understand, like you do as a Shapeshifter Alchemist, that magic can be grounding, and that it is your medicine. It's it's your, what your soul, what your creative self needs, what your mindset needs for you to be who you are. So working out what feels magical to you, doing more of those things in your day as your structure, that is going to help you to be able to show up more, to be more of yourself, to magnetize in the kinds of work you want to do, the kinds of clients you want to be working with, the kinds of money you want to be earning, and the kinds of life that you want to create for yourself and your family. So what feels magical to you? Let's talk through an example of something that you do or don't currently, but what comes into your magic bag?
Into my magic bag, creating outside of my business.
Okay.
So that involves artwork, whether it's art journaling, whether it's just like little mini Zentangles, whether it's, I've been experimenting with pastels and acrylics lately. It's just something that I get lost. It opens up floodgates for downloads. It takes me out of my headspace, but it also grounds me in a way that I can then take that flow almost back into my business.
So it will ground you. It's also going to feed energy to your Inspire Believer archetype. Yeah. So again, then you've got the sustained energy, as you said, to take action in your business, to do the various other things that maybe don't feel as magical or as fun or as engaging, but that are important for you to be able to connect with your clients. And admin doesn't feel fun to Shapeshifter Alchemists, but it is a requirement. There's a degree of that requirement in our business. So how often are you doing that creativity that's outside of the creation of artwork for your clients as a business function?
At the moment, I'm scheduling it in 3 times a week. Good. Sometimes it might be every day. Sometimes it might not be. It's the last 2 weeks, it's been like 3 or 4 times a week, plus being out in the garden.
Yeah, good.
Or a garden in Queensland.
So, and how, like, what's been different for you in your business and even in your life by doing more of this?
The flow, the conversations, people reaching out and saying, can we have a chat? I've seen some stuff, I want to talk about possibilities. Yeah. So that, just that opening up that, I guess, the magnetic flow of not actually saying, oh, look, this is the service I've currently got, but people going, oh, I've just seen something, can we talk? Yeah. So
you're creating one, by being you're creating one of the parts of marketing that people can often refer to as the most difficult, which is putting an offer out there. Yeah. So you because what you've done, you've used, I love to use the word invitation instead of offer. So by showing up as ourselves, giving people insights into who we are, into what we do, into how we do it, into the knowledge we have from your mentor teacher's perspective, into the things that inspire you and the way that you're inspiring from your Inspire Believer's perspective, from the freedom, the space that you're creating from your Liberator Engineer, from the magic from your Shapeshifter Alchemist. People are being magnetized to that and going, I want to know more. And you haven't had to put an offer out there or put a post up saying, this is what I'm selling this week. You're just showing up and being you, which is the magic of what this is all about. And that's you being in your effortless success zone, Tammie. It's you listening more and more to who you are and what you need for yourself to be your best version of yourself. And then sharing a little bit of that, which, you know, mentor teacher and Inspire Believer archetypes that love to share, which is very helpful. We've also got a business. We're just giving people little insights into what we're doing is enough to spark the conversation without having to necessarily be overly particular and focused about actually formulating offers and launching and those sorts of things. That has a place in our businesses also, but it's the in-between times when we don't necessarily have something specific that we're working on or we're wanting more sales for, when we're just showing up and sharing who we are and what we're doing and giving people an insight can open up the conversation. So it's the invitation rather than a formal offer.
That's cool.
Yeah. So how does it feel? How's that felt with all of that happening?
It's felt good. It's like, as you were talking, I'm sitting here going, that's a little bit confronting. But then there's this like, actually, why would it be confronting when that sounds really effortless and, you know, you want something easy?
Yeah.
Which
opens us up to talk about the whole notion of things being effortless. Effort doesn't come without effort. The whole message of, you know, the knowing your Thrive Factor is a path to unlock your effortless success zone. It's about you being aware of and consciously, intentionally using the strengths that you have so that there is limited or less negative impact of your potential challenges. Now, when we get to that place where things do happen and we're like, oh, that was a bit easy, the default that society is embedded in so many of us is, if it's easy,
it's wrong.
It's wrong. If we don't do that again, that was a fluke, that was just luck. And it wasn't. It's about you making a conscious, intentional effort to use more of your strengths and to be more of who you are and share more of who you are. So instead of getting to that place where the mindset can so quickly and then the action can be doing things that unravel all of that, it's like, oh, now I get what Shannon was talking about. I want more of this. And how amazing that I've got a Shapeshifter Alchemist as one of my archetypes, that when I'm really clear about what feels effortless to me and what would feel effortless moving forward, that I can embed in some really clear goals and I can open up my alchemist to bring that to life as a master manifester. Yeah? How cool that I've got the wisdom of the mentor teacher to know that the self-talk that just came up that said, that shouldn't happen, that shouldn't be like that, this has got to be hard, that I know better than that because I've actually got a deep innate wisdom that I can call on that can tell me that I do deserve for things to be easier and more effortless. Yeah. I believe you get inspired to go, I want more of this. And that was for me when I got to that space of knowing the effortlessness. I'm like, oh, I'm so want to get addicted to this. I want more of this. And my Inspire Believer got all fired up with what can I do? How can I do it? How can I embody and embed this? and the liberator engineer, as you create more ease, more space, she's going to feel better too, because that's also going to give her space to come up with solutions, with ideas to create.
Yeah.
Things that cycle into more magical creativity for you, which is so much of what I see and you're all about. And I love hearing you talking about that part of yourself also. Yeah.
Cool.
Good. So what are you going to do with all this to sustain the effortlessness that you're experiencing now, so that you don't go back into whatever past ways there were?
I think knowing more about my archetypes and learning more about my archetypes, I'll be able to see more quickly when I'm moving into a challenge area, so that I can call on my strengths easier. Like, as I say, it's felt good, but then when you were talking, there was that contraction, but then there was also that, like, hey, like, it was quite a quick realization. Mm-hmm. So just being open to more of, you know, oh, okay, we're feeling a bit drained, let's take some time out, and not beating myself up about it. So many of us, the rest, like true rest, doesn't often happen.
No, it doesn't. So that's gorgeous. I think another thing that you could consider doing is you talked about noticing the contraction. So it feels like it was a bodily response to that. So tuning into those things. What are the signs that I'm going off path, for want of a better word, or I'm going into that contractive space? So those of you that are listening, we talked a lot about expansion and contraction during the Magnetism program as a way to be in our expansive state, is also being in our effortless success zone, and it's being in the place where we're at optimal potential for magnetizing in things, for being more visible. And contraction is the opposite of all of that. And I know for me, I know I've worked out over time that yes, it's a feeling state, but there's also particular words that I use, and when I hear myself either saying those words as a self-talk, writing them if I'm journaling, saying them out loud, it's like, oh, wait a second. And again, the little flag goes up that says, you've got a choice about doing this a different way. Yeah. Is that what's the action you're going to take? What's one thing you can do to bring yourself back to where you are choosing to be? So it could be rest, it could be creating, it could be doing something else. It might actually be doing an hour's work, because that actually feels like that would clear some of your to-do list or whatever it is. Yeah. But it's I've got a choice right now in this moment, in response to whatever I'm feeling, what one thing can and will I do to support me and my archetypes to be opening up to being more in my effortless success zone. So, you know, the themes of your archetypes, you've got inspiration for and energy for your inspired believer. You've got wisdom and learning for your mental teacher. You've got freedom and space, liberation for your liberator engineer. And you've got magic and transformation and alchemy. So manifesting for your shapeshifter alchemist. So those, you know, what little things can you do that fit into those themes? Do something, one thing, not what's the 50 things to add to my to-do list to get myself out of this. That's not effortless, but effortlessness comes with some effort.
Yeah, I have quite a few tools in my self-care toolbox that resonate very deeply with each of those when I do know, whether it's like in my journaling too, I notice that there's certain words or repeated thoughts. I'm like, okay, let's go check that. Let's go do something. And it's different depending on the circumstances. Yeah. So just being, that awareness. But yes, I've noticed, especially through doing magnetism, that the bodily signs for me, that I've felt the tension, I've felt the contraction. It's something that I've trusted most of my life because it's something that was tangible to me. Whereas hearing it in my head, people go, yeah, it's just in your head, you're crazy. So I disowned that what I heard was correct and didn't trust it as deeply. Yeah. Into wisdom that's coming through. Often I hear it in my head, but now I'm waiting for the anchor in the body to go, oh yeah, okay, I can really trust that. Because that anchor is, for me, it's tangible, I guess. So
brilliant. I love it. Oh, Tammie, that was so good to chat with you. Thank you for giving up your time to learn more about yourself which is what a Thrive Factor profiling sessions or a conversation like this is all about. So I really appreciate you saying yes and putting yourself up to have an open and honest chat about where you're at and to learn more about yourself. So I hope that was helpful.
Oh, it was. I loved it. Thank you.
Love it. And everyone who's listened in whatever way you've done that, thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to know more about anything to do with the Thrive Factor, there will be various links and different things to do to connect with myself or one of the graduate Thrive Factor profilers to get yourself profiled if you don't know already, to join, to connect up and to learn one of your archetypes by taking the assessment and discovering your Thrive Factor edge. Or if you are out there and you're coaching, mentoring, guiding, working with women in some way in a business, and you think adding Thrive Factor profiling is something you'd like to do for your business, then we have 2 intakes every year, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about what that would look like and welcome you into that beautiful community in Thrive Factor School. So have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. Tammie, thank you again so much for joining me. Pity I'm not at home at the moment because I could show everyone one of your beautiful soul artworks. I was the very gracious and filled with gratitude recipient of one of Tammie's artworks a few years ago now, and it's going to be hanging in my office very soon when I've got someone to hang that for me, i.e. my brother. So I'm going to get that hung up. Awesome. Thank you so much again. Thanks everyone. Have a beautiful day.